I've had a slight increase in comments interested in homeschool, and so I decided to dedicate a video to homeschooling mostly. I'll still be doing some homemaking and cooking in this video, but I will be mainly focused on homeschool. What are the benefits of homeschooling? What are the downs, the ups, the ins and outs of homeschool? Maybe some things that I'll share today you already knew. Maybe there were some things that you didn't know. And maybe you are a parent trying to decide what to do for this school year or the following school year, and you've been kind of playing with the idea of homeschool, but you are not sure yet. Maybe you find yourself in that situation. Hopefully this video will help clear some things up and be able to encourage you or inspire you. And I hope that this video leaves you with more input or insight into homeschooling than when you came. But before I get into all of that, let me just explain what I'm working on here. So this is what a typical homeschool morning looks like for us. We don't get up too early, and I allow the kids to kind of wake up whenever they wake up. We don't have a strict schedule where everyone has to be up at a certain time, but when everyone is up, we start the day. I make breakfast. The kids start on their chores while I'm working on breakfast. And this morning I am making a breakfast casserole. I have that up on my blog if you're interested in the recipe for exact measurements and instructions. It's over on kipcofamilyhomestead.com. But this is a wonderful breakfast for the whole family. It's a one-pan meal, and it feeds a large crowd. If you have lots of kids like we do, we have 4 children that I homeschool. And so this is a great meal for us and a great way to start the day. It's got all the good breakfast things from sausage to cheese and eggs and some homemade sourdough bread that I crumble in there. Due to the cold lately, the chickens have been slowing down on laying eggs. Typically in the spring and summertime, we get around 12 to 15 eggs a day. In the past few weeks, we've been getting only about 7 a day. And that might seem like a lot, but for our family, we do eat a ton of eggs. And so for me, I am trying to really savor the eggs. So I don't make things that require 12 eggs at a time very frequently these weeks, but this was an exception. This recipe calls for 12 eggs, but I did have quite a few cartons in the other refrigerator that were holding some eggs that were from the summertime, so I did need to use those up, and this was a great recipe to do so.
What else do you see?
Recently, my sister-in-law and her husband were at our house with their children, just visiting us. We had a really nice time together, and when they came over, they gifted us a bag of coffee beans that her husband roasts himself. Him and his brother have a company and they roast their own beans, and we had been ordering from them previously, and then we just kind of stopped, and I completely forgot about how good the coffee beans are, and then we were just kind of buying random brands from Costco and just kind of got used to that. And then after I got a taste again of those coffee beans, I could not drink anything else afterwards. They are just that good. They have this like very delicate flavor and taste, and he roasts them in such a way where they do not taste burnt like you will find with a lot of other coffee beans, and they have like this light brown color. And what I noticed with other coffee beans that are, of course, probably lower quality is that they look kind of oily. And apparently that's actually really bad for your espresso machine. And his coffee beans have like no oil at all. They are completely matte. And the beans come in so fresh because they actually only roast them after you place your order. And I would highly recommend his company. This is not a sponsored ad or anything. I don't get anything out of it. I just genuinely love these coffee beans, and I would 100% recommend them. Their company is called Verosh, and if you are a huge coffee fan or lover like I am and my husband, then I think you will really enjoy these beans. I will include a link in the description down below so you can get yourself a bag of these wonderfully delicious coffee beans. This morning, I will give you a glimpse into how homeschooling looks like for us day to day, and I will also give you examples of how you can homeschool multiple children, multiple ages. If you're like us and you have, like we have 4 kids, we have a 9th grader, a 7th grader, 2nd grader, and a 3-year-old. And so how do you manage all of that, and how do you teach them and give them the attention that they need and teach them everything on their level that they need to be taught at these very different ages? A lot of families and moms that I've spoken to in the past had this question. They don't know where to start or how to combine or what their options are, and I would love to touch a little bit on that today. And I will also share our why we homeschool and what made us make this decision and what motivates us to keep on going year after year.
Have foretold these days, and you are heirs of the people on earth.
So when we first started homeschool, I was still figuring things out, and having had a teaching background, I automatically resorted to just a schoolroom, and we had a very school-like setting where we had a strict schedule. We'd start at a certain time. We would just keep pushing and learning, even if the kids were already whiny and just tired. I would keep pushing, and then I would give them recess, and then we'd come back. It was very, very school-like. And then after a year, I realized that this isn't what homeschooling is about. Homeschooling actually gives us the freedom to not be like a school system and not be like a regular classroom that you would see in a public or in a private school. So we have definitely learned and grown and shifted so many different things in our homeschooling, and we definitely know so much more now than when we first started. And this is what I tell homeschool moms: you need to give yourself grace as you are figuring things out yourself, and just go easy on yourself and don't beat yourself up too much. I used to do that all the time. I would feel like I failed because I didn't complete a certain thing on time, or we didn't cram in all of the possible information that we could have. But then over the years, I realized that this isn't as important. The quantity of the work is not as important as the quality. And I have found oftentimes that instead of cramming everything into one day, some days, especially with the younger kids, somebody could be tired or cranky or just not in the mood. And I have found that it is better to just relax and do one good subject or 2 good subjects rather than 5 subjects and they didn't remember a single thing. One of the big benefits of homeschooling is you really get to tailor your curriculum to your child. And I have been just changing things up year after year, just depending on what our life or season currently looks like. When we first started homeschooling, we just had the 2 older kids in school, and we had our third one was about 3. And she would just sit there and play with Play-Doh as I taught combined schooling for the first 2. And a great curriculum for that is My Father's World. And I actually still partially use My Father's World today. But My Father's World is such a wonderful option for families who have multiple children and age groups. So I was able to combine our first 2, and they were in, I believe, 2nd and 4th grade when we first started homeschooling, and I was able to just teach them out of one curriculum. So it was science, history, art, foreign language, music, Bible class, and then for the 2 subjects that you cannot combine because they're on different levels, math and language, those were add-ons anyways, so they're not included in the big bundle that you would buy from My Father's World to teach your grouped children. So you don't lose any money on that. Those are add-ons anyways. And so for the first few years of our homeschool experience, this is how we were learning. I was fully teaching them out of books from My Father's World curriculum. And then when our older ones got into middle school, I just did not want to teach math anymore. I am not a fan of math. I am not good at it. And so we thought about what our options are. And we decided to go with Abeka for math. And then later we decided to do English through Abeka as well. So for this homeschool year, currently what our daily homeschooling rhythm looks like is this. We go upstairs, everyone sits in the schoolroom. The younger 2 often run away into the playroom and they play, but I am with my big kids. We do Bible class together. I teach them Bible thoroughly, and then they go into the bonus room next door and they do history and science together, and then they open up their laptops and separately they do math and language online, while I grab Emily. And Isaiah also, he just likes to sit with us, and I teach Emily everything fully out of books through My Father's World. She's currently in the 2nd grade program. And as I teach, the big kids are on their laptops working on their math and language. I'm teaching Emily, and Isaiah would be next to me just playing with Play-Doh or puzzles or whatever it is that he wants to be doing at the moment, sometimes drawing, coloring. But one thing I was very intentional about not allowing is not allowing him to watch TV just as a distraction, just so he stays out of our hair and doesn't bother us. This was a big no for me from the very beginning. And when you do not train your child to get used to watching TV while the bigger kids are doing homeschool, they will not know anything else. So he doesn't even ask me to watch TV during the day because that's just not a thing around here. So he is developing his own interests and hobbies and things that he likes to do to stay distracted while we are doing school. Next, I wanted to discuss our why. Why did we choose to homeschool? Well, we started as a COVID homeschool family. Were just kind of thrown into it, and we wanted to see how we would like it. It was kind of experimental for us in the beginning, and it turned out that we just fell in love with it. My husband and I absolutely loved this feeling of just being closer as a family, and you really just get those hours back. You get that time back to just be with your children and witness them growing up and witness them learning. And not to mention that there's no bullying or trends or they have to keep up with look cool, whatever. There's none of that. And it's actually a proven fact that homeschool children are more happy and relaxed because they have no one to be like competing with. They're just in a relaxed environment, in their loving home, with their siblings, with their parents, working at their own pace. Nobody is pressuring them. Nobody is pushing them to do anything. They are just learning, and they just live in a happy environment at home. A lot of times you'll hear people say, well, homeschooled kids don't have the proper socialization. Well, let me tell you, I don't think we've ever socialized as much as we do now that we homeschool. We've got choir at church. We've got all these church events, Bible study, youth, Sunday school. We've got homeschool co-op group at church. We've got youth worship. We've got so many things going on, and the kids are constantly in contact with other kids, and they have their best friends at church, and it's just a wonderful community. They are able to communicate and socialize with all age groups from little to big, and they just get a large variety of just socializing with all types of people and ages. So I don't even know why that's an argument. That definitely is not true for us, and that has a lot to do with the choices that the parents make. So it's definitely not something that has to happen to you if you choose to homeschool. Homeschooling also allows the opportunity to really focus on what your child's interests are. So in our family, that happens to be music, and because we are homeschooled, the kids will finish their work and then they will spend time singing and playing and being on the piano. And this is just excellent, because if they went to school, when would they have time to do that? It seems like everyone who's in public school, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of families, it just seems like kids are just on the go from the moment that they wake up to the moment that they get home. They got homework, they have all these things, maybe they have extracurricular activities. When do these children have time to develop their own interests and hobbies and figure out what they like or who they are as a person? So homeschooling definitely allows that freedom and space for the child to grow in their own interests and develop hobbies and skills. Another thing that I truly love about homeschooling is that we get to figure out who we are as a family. We just get to spend all this time together, and we get to learn about life and explore the world together, and we just grow closer and closer as a family every year that we homeschool. And I wouldn't trade that time or that experience with my family for anything in the world. And that brings me to my last point. Probably one of the most, if not the most important reasons that we choose to homeschool is because as Bible-believing Christians, we get to choose what our children learn, and we have the power and the freedom to shield our children's innocence so that their eyes and their ears don't see or hear things that they shouldn't be hearing at these ages. Because if we as parents do not protect our child's innocence and their childhood, that is something that can never be reversed or taken back. And so for my husband and I, protecting our children's innocence is something that we take very seriously, and one of the biggest reasons why we homeschool.